Every July in Pamplona, Spain, thousands of people run through the streets just a few meters ahead of 6 angry bulls. This is done voluntarily and for fun. Me, I will be watching this one from the comfort of my couch, which is exactly where a hospitality data guy belongs. So we are of course talking about the running of the bulls on today's Lighthouse Quick Take. The running of the bulls is the signature event of Spain's San Fermín festival, which spans July 6th through 14th each year, with the bulls running every day except the opening day. Now, compared with last year's festival, citywide average pricing rose modestly. Average actualized rates went from about €361 last year to €371 this year, up about 3%. Now, let's peel back the layers and dig a bit deeper. Let's first talk about the split between chains and independents. What's super interesting is that year over year, the two segments moved in opposite directions. Independents raised their rates about 5.4% versus last year's festival, while the chains pulled theirs down about 3.1%. You might expect the chains to be the ones pushing hardest on a marquee week, but here it was the independents. And Pamplona is overwhelmingly independent. So for hoteliers whose whole years largely ride on one week, it's the independents driving the pricing. It's worth a quick note that while average hotel rates rose only modestly, Pamplona's short-term rentals grew more. Short-term rental gross ADR was up about 7%, with their occupancy up about 12% year over year. Two plausible drivers. One, Pamplona doesn't have a huge supply of hotels, certainly not enough to house all the visitors to the festival, so short-term rentals soak up most of the overflow. Beyond that, with all of Spain's crackdown on short-term rentals, supply has been tightening, which tends to push the remaining units' rates up. The second story is timing, how prices build in the run-up to the festival. This next chart tracks hotel price evolution across the 200 days leading up to the San Fermín festival, and it's split into 3 lines: the full festival, the first day the bulls run, as well as the final day. The first day sits above the others for ostensibly the whole lead-up, and no surprise since the first bull run is one of the festival's biggest draws. It spikes past €500 about 6 weeks out and then eases as the date approaches. A textbook event pricing curve where hotels set aspirational rates early to capture high-intent bookers and then trim the pricing to capture demand for the unsold rooms as the date nears. The final day, by contrast, stays low and flat the whole way, largely in the €150 to €200 range, and down to about €147 by the day of the stay itself. The gap between the opening and the closing is a steep cliff, with the opening commanding more than double the closing, and this same shape showed up in 2025 as well. Demand is certainly more front-loaded. So, what's the takeaway here if you're running a hotel in Pamplona, or honestly any market with a single marquee week? First, it's a good reminder that there's not just one single playbook for pricing a big event. This year, the independents push pricing higher, while the chains ease theirs down, and this can certainly be driven by a hotel's risk tolerance and existing business on the books. Second, keep an eye on the short-term rentals, because they're not just soaking up overflow demand anymore. They're actively competing on rate, and Spain's regulatory tightening is only going to concentrate remaining supply further. And finally, respect the shape of the demand curve. It's not the same shape for every day of the festival. We saw just how much more upside that the start of the festival had. The final day never had that same ceiling, and for the most part, stayed in that €150 to €200 range the whole lead-up time. So remember, know which day on the calendar you're actually pricing for, because the festival isn't just one demand curve, it's several demand curves stacked on top of each other. Thanks as always for tuning into the Spotlight podcast from Lighthouse. It's a pleasure talking data with you for a few minutes each week, and we will be back next week, as always, with another Lighthouse Quick Take.